The views and opinions of the following program are solely those of the host and other contributors. These do not necessarily represent those of Liberty Acquisitions 825, Blue Water Broadcasting, its management, staff, or any advertisers. It's time for Montgomery's conversational radio show. It's News and Views on News Talk 93.1 FM. To join the conversation, call 272-9228.
After damning politicians uphill and down dale for many years as rogues, vagabonds, frauds, and scoundrels, I sometimes suspected, like everyone else, I often expect too much of them.
This is how you conduct yourself in a democracy?
If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth.
We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing.
I like to do it at night when people aren't around.
This afternoon, we've seen a whole lot of table banging.
You get a cough, please leave the room.
I got worms.
I got hairy legs.
You know, they used to say Abraham Lincoln got the worst press. I said, there's no way he got worse than me.
Anyway, I am very willing to let the American public judge my physical and mental my physical as well as my mental fitness.
Hey, mister! I don't mean to be telling tales out of school, but there's a fella in there who'll pay you $10 if you sing into his can. I'm not here to make a record, you dumb cracker. They broadcast me out on the radio.
Joey Clark.
Welcome into News and Views in the afternoon. I'm your host, Joey Clark. In the studio with me, both Eddie Bader and Sky Mosley today. How you gentlemen doing?
All right, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing all right. Here, let me shrink here for a second. All right. So, I guess.
In studio, Joey.
Yeah, AC's not working. The hum's still there. I mean, we got all sorts of issues going on.
The AC is not causing the hum.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. At least we know. Well, we can check today after today. But well, congratulations to Mayor Stephen Reed on winning re-election. Right. He won handily. So congratulations there. And of course, later in the show, we're going to start to handicap and preview this GOP debate tonight on Fox.
Think anybody's going to really watch it? You think a lot of people are going to watch it? You don't think it's going to?
No.
Yeah.
We'll get into it. But I first want to start all this out with our regular guests on Wednesdays. We have Jeff Poor, The Jeff Poor Show. He's also editor-in-chief there at 1819 News. Jeff, how are you this afternoon?
Doing well. Thanks for having me on.
Always great to have you on the show. And I want to start with something we actually were talking about on your show this morning, because I want the Montgomery market to hear this. You stumped me when you asked, okay, say Barry Moore has to go up against Jerry Carl. Who would, as a Republican, a conservative, that could run against, say, a Stephen Reed in a congressional race? I was stumped, but you had a pretty good name I think we should share with this audience.
Yeah, so, last night it's the prelude to the Stephen Reed congressional campaign, although I think it was kind of a weak showing. But if Barry Moore's they're drawn into a district, if Coffee County and Enterprise are drawn into a district, well, a lot of people think you're going to get a Dauphin Island to Dothan, South Alabama district, which is going to create a Jerry Carl, Barry Moore head-to-head, then you're going to need a Republican on the ticket. If Stephen Reed's a Democrat, who would that be? And the first name that came to my head was former State Senator Dick Brubaker. I think he would be tough to beat. He would be a good Republican choice. I had some other ideas, Ambassador Blanchard, Lindy Blanchard, or Tim James down in Greenville, somebody like that. But if I'm betting, that's the guy that would do well. I think especially he would give you two things. Obviously, the district would be in the rural parts of every Republican. You would have that, but just the familiarity Montgomery has with him. And he would take some of that vote that might have gone for Stephen Reed in a head-to-head away from him.
Yeah, I think it would be a great matchup, and I'd kind of like seeing actual competition here in this dear state of ours. I mean, what is it with this one-party rule? We go from all Democrats to now all Republicans, and yet it doesn't seem to match what they actually sell to folks each election day.
And when they try to create some kind of partisan split to where it would be intriguing. It's so manufactured, it's contrived. I mean, there's no real. I don't know in many places in America where there really is this ideological, indecisiveness. I think people's minds are made up. You're either blue or you're red. At least in Alabama, it's a matter of who has more enthusiasm behind their cause.
Well, there you go. Post-persuasion America, where it's all about mobilizing your tribe. And speaking of that polarization that's out there, it seems very clear now that President Joe Biden and Senator Coach Tommy Tuberville really don't seem to like each other. I'm looking at 1819 News, one of y'all's top trending stories is Tuberville slams Biden for falling asleep while meeting with Maui fire survivors. Quote, so much for all that empathy the media keeps telling us about. I guess I saw this video this morning, and he dozed off in the middle of some big event.
And at a very inopportune time when he's supposed to be somber, very alert. There's a natural disaster. It's going to take federal resources to really help people overcome. He needs to be really alert. Joey, watching the footage and watching I watch a lot of cable news with the sound off, but you're just watching it. They have pumped him full of like vitamins and maybe caffeine, but he looks out on. People want to be like angry and all riled up about politicians, and you know the drill. Like, we're supposed to wear a jersey and all, but I can't feel anything but pity for Joe Biden.
Well, and this is why, and shifting gears here, I'm a big fan of at least the approach Vivek Ramaswamy is taking, because I've yelled about it here on the show often. It's like, it is much bigger than Biden bad. Like, it's fine. Tell us about what Hunter Biden was doing, what Jim Biden was doing, how they're giving 10% to the big guy. Like, let's look into that. But do we really think that's the only person in Washington who has played that game? And I just worry that the focus on, we got to get Trump or we got to get Biden, we kind of miss the forest for the trees, right?
Well, yeah, but what is, like, the Democrat strategy is solely, I am thinking, just beat up on Republican and show that Trump is bad and create enough animosity that maybe that's what. But if you're a Biden voter, what are you excited about? What are you thinking? I want more of this. Maybe the economy, but I don't. I think the sales job on that's been very, very amateur hour. And just Bidenomics, it just seems so contrived and phony, like they don't even believe it. I mean, I think there's a case to be made that maybe some of the things going on economically are a lot better than they might have been otherwise, but they're not doing that. And I mean, there's very little like pro-Biden, this is great type stuff going on. It's all against the man ad hominem, against the other side. I don't think that gets you all the way to where you need to be. I think there's some problems here structurally with the Democrat messaging and the Democrat narrative.
Now, what are you looking for? Are you watching the GOP debate tonight, and what are you looking for?
Begrudgingly, hoping Trump shows up. Gives me a reason to be interested. I don't know. I mean, I think for DeSantis, I think he's got the target on him. They're all going to team up on him, with the exception of Asa Hutchinson and Chris Christie, who will be fighting an invisible Trump. And, I mean, are you really wanting to hear what Mike Pence has to say? No. We know what these guys are going to generally say. The only thing that may be an issue, a wedge, because I think they're probably agree on a lot of things, maybe Ukraine, maybe Ramaswamy has some ideas about, some kooky ideas about 9/11 that he kind of let out of the bag on CNN the other night. Do they go after him on that? But I mean, I'm not popping popcorn or anything.
Yeah, I hope there's at least entertainment. I kind of want to see some car crash out of this. I don't expect any of these guys, I'm with you, that actually win the presidency this go around, but It is always fun to see, because it's so often just politicians one-on-one talking to folks like you and I, Jeff. It is entertaining to watch them do the politician dark arts against other politicians and see who's actually good at it and who falls flat on their face.
Yeah, but what's the reward? You're a distant second place to Donald Trump. And here's the other thing that's kind of curious. But Trump is the front runner in this reluctance to go after him. I think everybody, aside from some of the names I mentioned, and I think DeSantis would be among Christie and Hutchinson, but they're not really going after the front runner. They're which tells you what are your intentions. Do you really want to be president, or do you want your next book deal, or what's going on?
Again, folks, we're talking to Jeff Poor. He's editor-in-chief there at 1819 News and also the host of the Jeff Poor Show there in 106.5 FM in Mobile. And let's remind folks about 1819 News. You're often bashful about, I think, how great of a job you're doing, Jeff, if I could say so myself. And, it really, things have been growing like gangbusters, especially since you really took over on, as editor-in-chief. And it's just, I've watched it grow from the beginning, but let's tell folks about 1819 News if they haven't heard about it yet.
Yeah, 1819news.com, the traffic's growing, it's expanding. I mean, there's a real deficiency in this state. Look, you don't need Jeff Poor or Joey Clark or anybody else writing for 1819 News to tell you what to think, but what we want to do is offer you news that you're not getting elsewhere, that the other mainstream media don't think is important or don't think that others their narrative, so they just ignore it, and you have a complete picture, and you come to the right conclusion based on this news. Like I said, it's not telling you what to think, but I feel like if you had an honest view of what was going on and pointed out some things that you weren't getting from some of the other places, you're going to come to the same conclusion as I do about what's going on in this state. It's a matter of common sense, but you're not getting that full picture because the utility companies or AL.com, left-wing, college newspaper, ideologues don't think it's important. It's not important to them, even though their view of the world is like antithetical to yours. So like we're trying to fill a void in a marketplace where you're not getting the news that is, that you care about, that's of interest to you. You may hear about lesbian poetry in the black belt on AL.com, but they may think that's a big deal. But I think most Alabamians, that's not really important in their lives. And we're trying to, we're going to figure out what's important in your life and give it to you.
Well, I appreciate the work you're doing, and especially because I act like the other, say, media outlets, especially that certain one you just mentioned, just don't exist. I sometimes begrudgingly have to admit, okay, a guy said a thing, but I've found that I get along in this world just fine without looking at what they're saying.
I mean, you're not missing anything. They're just writing stories. 5 barbecue places in the Shoals that you should go visit when you're up there. Joey, when was the last time you were in the Shoals?
Never.
Yeah, I mean, just like it's so gimmicky, and I mean that's fine. I'll read it, but it's not really moving the needle. It's either way lefty or way gimmicky coverage.
Okay, somebody just texted me. 1819 is the Oliver Anthony of Alabama news.
Well, I try not to be as angry, but yeah, it's probably the same brand for sure.
That certainly makes sense. And am I going to see you in Pelham on Friday night, that James Lindsay event? You trekking up there?
I'll be there. If anybody else listening, come say hey.
Well, I'll be there myself. Folks, y'all go to 1819news.com and look for these James Lindsay event tickets. Should be a great thing there in Pelham on Friday night. But I always appreciate your time, Jeff, and let's do this again soon.
Hey, thanks for having me on, Joey.
Again, folks, that's Jeff Poor. Always great talking to him. Okay, so one thing we might have to do here, I don't know, is we're trying to upgrade the stream. So I might have to take down the stream here as we're working on the issues.
Okay.
So, but the radio show will continue. You can always go to newstalk931.com and listen live there or on the Newstalk 93.1 app. But we're getting bigger and better with the stream, and I appreciate y'all who are excited for it, and we've got plenty more to get to in the show today. But first, let's talk about the Alabama Gazette, Sky. They still hiring?
Oh, yeah. Speaking of growing pains, Joey, yes, the Alabama Gazette, they do have some opportunity available at the Gazette. There'll be, first of all, the Alabama Gazette is your hometown conservative newspaper. They will be celebrating their 24th anniversary on October 1st. The public is invited. There'll be a big open house at their downtown offices. The Alabama Gazette been serving Central Alabama proper for 24 years, coming up in October. Space is limited. This is going to be a very popular edition. I want to encourage you to advertise with people who share your values and reach the audience that you most like to target. The Alabama Gazette has always been pro-life, pro-family, pro-America, published under the banner of God, family, and country all these years. Give them a call. The Alabama Gazette, 356-6700. Employment opportunities, advertising opportunities, your conservative hometown newspaper. That's the Alabama Gazette, 356-6700.
Well, I appreciate Jeff Poore. I appreciate you, Sky. Eddie, I don't know about you. Actually, you know how much I love you, big boy. Oh, come on. You gonna watch the debate with me tonight?
No.
I thought you said yes earlier.
That was before I got in here. It was 99 degrees. Totally different attitude.
You go cheer up, and then I'm gonna ask you again later. We'll be right back.